In this lecture, we'll learn about the spacing utilities. With spacing utilities, you can control the margin and padding of one or more sides of elements across different device sizes. Before we start, just a quick note that I've created some custom styling in the head tag to showcase these examples. To learn how to use the spacing utilities, we will start by taking a look at the naming convention. It goes like this: property, sides, dash, size, when used for all breakpoints. And property, sides, dash, breakpoint, size, when used for specific breakpoints and up. Now we will have a look at what the different values can be. The property value can be M for margin or P for padding. The size value can be T for top, R for right, B for bottom, L for left, X for left and right, Y for top and bottom, or left blank to target all four sides. The breakpoint value can be just like we used to, which is SM for small, MD for medium, LG for large, or XL for extra large. The size value can be 0 for 0, 1 for 0.25 rem, 2 for 0.5 rem, 3 for 1 rem, 4 for 1.5 rem, and 5 for 3 rem, or auto for auto, which only works for margins. Now that we know the naming convention and the available values, we'll look at a few examples. First, let's look at some examples for margin. We create a div with some text and give it the class M5. This element will now have a margin of 3 rem on all sides and for all devices. Before we take a look in the browser, we'll go ahead and create 3 more examples. The second div will get the class MX3, which means it will have a margin of 1 rem on the left and right sides for all devices. The third div will get the class MLLG2, which means it will have a margin of 0.5 rem on the left side, but only for large devices and up. The fourth div will get the class MLAuto, which means it will have an auto margin on the left side. To be able to see this, we'll also add the class W50 to set the width to 50% of the parent element. Now let's have a look in the browser. As we can see, it looks as expected. The first element have a large margin on all sides. The second element have a medium margin on the left and right sides. The third div have a small margin on the left side for large devices and up. And finally, the fourth div have an auto margin on the left side. Now let's look at some examples for padding. We create a div with the class P3. This element will now have a padding of 1 rem on all sides and for all devices. Before we take a look in the browser, we'll create 2 more examples. The second div will get the class py5, which means it will have a padding of 3 rem on the top and bottom sides and for all devices. The third div will get the class prmd4, which means it will have a padding of 1.5 rem on the right side, but only for medium devices and up. Let's take another look in the browser. As we can see, it looks as expected. The first element have a medium padding on all sides. The second element have a large padding on the top and bottom sides. And the third div have a medium-large padding on the right side for medium devices and up. We have now learned how to use the spacing utilities. Go on and continue with the coding exercise, which will help you learn the correct structure for these utilities. In the next lecture, we'll learn about the typography utilities.